G'day, I'm Sean Rasmussen, Aussie Internet Marketer, and I'm about to share with you a short excerpt from an interview between myself and personal development coach Chuck Goetschel, the creator of the Personal Passion Formula. Enjoy. Chuck, you have personally mentored hundreds of people. You've developed leadership-based communities by the thousands. You spoke around the globe to stadium-filled audiences. You've spoken about business leadership, personal growth, personal peace, which is probably my favourite, and a purposeful life. What really has actually inspired me when I started looking into what you've done are some of the people that you've stood on the same stage and shared the stage with. Notables, people, inspiring people such as Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Mark Victor Hansen, John Maxwell, Robert Kiyosaki, an absolute favourite of mine, T. Harv Eker, and many others. Those are some pretty inspiring people, Chuck. How do you feel like being in the company of such great personal development people?
Well, it's always humbling, that's for sure. But I'll tell you, one of my biggest goals is to carefully choose who I associate with, just like what you were talking about earlier, Sean, that, you don't just connect up with anybody. And so it's humbling and inspiring to be able to hang out with these people. I've got stories of each one of them that I'm thinking about as I'm looking at these pictures right now.
I find being around inspirational people, and inspirational people can even just be someone you meet down the road and just take the time to listen to. But the type of people such as Robert Kiyosaki and Mark Victor Hansen, T. Harv Eker, is that when you're around them, you really notice their charisma, the actual quality that they have, and the goodness they have in their heart to share and teach with other people. And that is the part that I absolutely love about it. Do you feel that too?
Well, sure. In fact, it's what's interesting about it is their teaching isn't like a light switch on off. It's always on. They're always teaching. There's a lesson in everything that happens when you're hanging out with these guys. I just had lunch with Harv about what was it, 10 days ago over in Phoenix. And you can't get through a meal without something that the waitress says or something that turns into another great lesson. I mean, they're so full of wisdom they can't help themselves but let it come out all the time.
And I suppose that ties in with this call today, because these guys are living their passion, aren't they? They are so inspired that they're literally always working because that is what they love.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the old saying. You find something you love to do, and you can take the rest of your life off, because it's not really working. I mean, where's the line? People say, "Why don't you take a vacation?" Well, and do what? Do something I would enjoy less than this? This is a vacation. Life becomes a vacation. I'm doing what I love. So why would I want to stop doing what I absolutely love doing?
You have written a book called Simon Says, and that has really intrigued me, because the message behind this book is very, very powerful. I see how this ties in with every single person on this globe. Can you talk about the book a little bit? Give us an insight to what inspired you to write this book.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because when people read the book, one of the most common things I hear is, "My gosh, I read your book and I could hear you speaking. It just sounds like you're speaking." CDs have been at events, and I said that's because I'm not an author. I'm a speaker, and so I just wrote down what I would say. So it's very conversational. But the reason I wrote the book was an answer to the question that I was getting from so many people, and as I would travel around and talk about living a life of purpose and passion, and so really what this book was my answer to those questions when people say, well, how do you do that? How I'm doing this is what my life has been, and like you, I'm an electrician. For whatever reason, I was led into that, and that's not what my life's about. I don't want that to be who I am. I'm all about family, and and so you made that shift, and people are like, how do I make that shift? And most people never even stop to think about it. So I wrote this as a response, and the reason I titled it Simon Says is to refer to the kids game, right? Simon says, touch your head. Simon says, touch your, stand on one foot or whatever. And the point is that it's a kids game that kids love, but unfortunately most adults are still playing it. They did what their teacher said in school, then they did what their bosses said when they got out, and all their whole life they just have been following the advice of what everybody's been telling them to do, and they've never actually said, wait a minute, what do I want to do with my life, right? What does it mean to me, and actually just stand up and say, I'm going to live my life, right? I'm going to pursue my passions. And so I said, I want to create a revolution. I want people to stop for a minute. Most people are so busy being busy. They're like the little hamster wheel. They're just running. And if you say, why are you running so fast? Like, I don't know, but where are you going? I don't know that either, but I'm making great time. I just got to keep on this pace. And everyone's just so caught up in being busy. And I just challenge people to say, just stop for a second, and look at where you're at. And then why are you doing it? I was communicating with a gal just recently who's an MD, and I think I put this in the recent video and talking about how she's been a doctor for 25 years. And I said, it's wonderful. And she said, no, it's not. I've made all this financial success, but the only reason I became a doctor was my parents told me when I was a kid, you ought to be successful, you should be a doctor. So to get their approval in life, I became a doctor. And I said, well, what's wrong with that? And she said, well, inside I'm an artist, but nobody knows it. Right? So I'm not living who I really am, and it's killing me. And if I dare share it with my friends, they start getting angry because like, my gosh, you have everything you want. What are you complaining about? And then I feel guilty for even talking about such a subject. And so all that is just crazy, because it doesn't matter if your friends think you should be a doctor. If you want to be an artist, be an artist. And so that's what this image is all about. So I wrote the book to say, you know what, break out, stop playing the Simon Says game, live your life, figure out your purpose, and create a life purpose statement and live it. So that, when I hate to be morbid, but when you take that last breath, you really reflecting on your life, you're going to be able to say, you know what, I used my talents, I used my gifts, I pursued my passions, I served people, my life had value, and I went all out. I didn't play a game where I just tried to make approval for everybody that was around me. And that way you can, feel good about your life. So that's what this book was all about. And it's a blessing to see people in the emails and letters and things I've received just saying, man, I've completely changed the direction of my life, and now I'm so happy. I have this inner peace because I'm doing what I knew I was called to do, or I'm pursuing these talents I've always wanted to develop. And thank you so much. I just needed that encouragement. And I said, well, welcome to the revolution. I'll share it with you, pass on the message. So that's what the book is all about.
That's fantastic, Chuck. Just when you said about looking back at your life, this is incredible. There's just another moment where I've really connected with you. One of my life visions is that I'm sitting under an oak tree on the last day of my life, and this sounds morbid, but it's a happy moment in my mind. It's like a memory of the future, and I sort of look forward to the moment where I can sit and look back at my life. And that might sound strange to people, but I know that I'm going to look back at a very, very fulfilled life, and I have no wish to turn back the clock now, and I know I certainly, as I get older, will have even less willingness to do so, because I'm so happy with where my life is going. I'm so excited about it, and I just look forward to looking back at this big blockbuster movie in my mind of what I've done and being happy with it and what I'm leaving behind, and knowing I've brought up beautiful children and great grandchildren, all this sort of stuff. And yeah, you just connected with me on another level there, Chuck. I think we got some synergy going there.
I love it. Well, and that's not a morbid story at all. That's an incredible vision. I mean, I believe that, and I've had the opportunity to speak all over, and the one thing I have found with everybody, it's going to be no surprise here, but that the one thing we all have in common is that everybody at the end of the day wants to feel like their life had value. They wants to feel like they had meaning, that there was fulfillment. And the big challenge here is that we were never taught fulfillment 101 in school. We're never taught the difference between living a life of significance and anything else. See, what we're generally taught is go to school, get an education, and then graduate and get a job. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're typically taught to get a job. And then what we do is we're in this survival mode, and our main objective is to make sure we'll keep working enough so that we keep paying the bills, so that we can stay minimal on the stress and we can survive. And at some point in time, what some people end up doing, and this is really important, is they say to themselves, you know what, I'm going to have a better life. Doggone it, I'm going to be super successful. And because what they think they want is success, but truly they want the feeling of the fulfillment that you're talking about. And so like maybe they see a beautiful Mercedes 600 SL or something drive by with the top down, and there's this couple with the hair blowing in the wind, and they're smiling, and they say, oh, see, that's why I need to be successful. I need that car. If I was successful, I could have that car, and then I'd be so happy. And what they don't realize is the car is not going to, what they want is not the car. They want to be that happy person they perceive as sitting in that car. And so what they do, and this is what's so incredible, people, they spend the rest of their second part of their life saying, I'm not going to just be in survival mode, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm seeking opportunities, and I'm going to be successful. And maybe they end up incredibly financially successful, and what that leads to is great comfort. It's a comfortable car, a comfortable house, the ability to travel, it's comfortable, it's very nice. But it's still not necessarily fulfilling. And all of a sudden you see people that are very financially successful, but they're still whole, they're still gapped, they're still unfulfilled. And the reason they're unfulfilled is because the only way you're ever going to be fulfilled is when you're pursuing a personal passion, and when you're pursuing a calling you've been given. And a calling is nothing more than figuring out what your purpose is, what your gifts and talents and your purposes, and applying that to a passion. And next thing you know, what you're doing is you're serving people in a calling, and the result of that, fulfillment. Absolute fulfillment, deep-seated, no other way to buy fulfillment. And you live a life like that, where you look back as you're sitting under that tree and you're thinking, man, you know what, I served people using those talents, and I served them the way I'm passionate about it, and I made a difference in the world. My life had value, and you just have so much inner peace and fulfillment that no Mercedes or house or anything else could ever buy you.
Well said. Fulfillment, yes, definitely something we're all chasing, and that really, really leads me into the actual topic of this webinar today. 3 steps to defining your passion. Once you define your passion, well, you're on your way to fulfillment, aren't you?
Absolutely. In fact, it's the only way. Sure.
Can you share those 3 steps with us?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I hope I will be able to share how that program came about, and how we came to connect. But first, step 1, yeah, of course, is defining your passion. And this is, as it says right there, the true secret of all successful entrepreneurs really is passion. I mean, if you don't have passion, nothing's going to happen, right? I mean, success isn't going to sneak up and attack you, right? So you've got to be passionate. You are the secret to making things happen is to be fired up. Now, there's 2 ways to get passionate. One is to manufacture it and just pretend, but that's a recipe for disaster. It's called burnout. The other one is if you're actually pursuing something you're passionate about, then the pursuit itself is going to ignite you, and that passion is going to be authentic. And so it's so important that you really look at what is it that I'm absolutely passionate about. And for many people, unfortunately, they are so busy being busy doing life, they've forgotten their passions, or they've been beaten up by life. You know, as people say all the time, I got the passion kicked out of me. I just don't even know what I'm passionate about anymore. I'm passionate about trying to pay my bills this month, right, is what a lot of people are saying. So here's 3 simple steps. Really, really simple. And if you have a pen or paper, grab it, because I'm going to give you a couple things to write down. I'm going to go through these quickly. We could spend an hour and really dive into this, but I just want to go over it and give it to you, and then you can, spend some more time on it. But I want to hit it in 3 different ways. So it's not really 3 steps. It's really 3 angles, 3 different ways of looking at defining your passion. So the first way that we want to look at it is really just looking at your gifts and your talents and things that you love. So here's three sentences to complete. All right, and it really ties right into this. The first one's obvious. It's, hey, I really love to what? I really love to what? What do you love to do? I mean, what do you love to do? And here's the thing. A lot of times people are so busy as they go through these questions, they're so trained to try to make answers that are seek approval to other people. In other words, you're still playing the Simon Says game.
That is all we could fit in on the YouTube limit. If you'd like to listen to more of this 55-minute interview with Chuck Goetschel and the Personal Passion Formula, please go to seanrasmussen.com to watch the entire 55 minutes. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it.